All right. Joining me now, Congressman Brandon Gill. Welcome to the Alec Lace Show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
It's great to have you back. Obviously, listen, today's the 24-year anniversary of the darkest day in this country's history, and it's followed by, the darkest day in probably this decade. So I just want to get your initial reaction here on the tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk yesterday.
Yeah, this is absolutely horrific on a personal level for the country, seeing, a leader in the conservative movement assassinated on TV. I mean, we saw the video as soon as it happened, and it was pretty clear immediately how horrific this was. Um, on a personal level, this was a guy who was 31 years old, young guy, extraordinarily successful, but more importantly, a husband and a father. He's the same age as I am. He's got two young kids who are roughly the same ages as mine are, um, and just a phenomenal individual. Somebody who was hardworking, who loved this country, who loved his God, and wanted to see more people come to Christ. And I think that's ultimately what motivated Charlie more than anything else. But also wanted to see this country turn to Christ, and wanted to see our country get back on the right path. And he lived his principles in a way that very few people do. Just really horrific, but also infuriating as well.
Yeah, I think that's the emotions. It's the sadness and the anger. I think that are coming into it. But just like you said, I mean, this Charlie Kirk was. I mean, he was the biggest name in this movement behind Trump. I mean, the Turning Point USA movement was just on par with the MAGA movement. Like just huge. I've been to so many of these events. The energy is off the charts. I mean, he really connected well with the youth in this country. And it's just it's amazing to me. I mean, obviously, you have a lot of super sleuths on the internet now trying to figure out the details, who did it. I mean, we will get to all that, but it's just the humanity part of it right up front. I mean, his wife, his children, and his movement has been shattered forever now, and it just seems like the political violence is getting so bad in this country. And does it make you just said you were the same age? You're in this political field. How are you guys feeling about this stuff right now? Are you guys like kind of like, oh, gee, we all got to kind of beef up our security, stuff like that?
Right now, we're just the goal right now, and I think that's what Charlie would want us to do, is to continue fighting, and to not back down a bit. The point of a political assassination like this is to silence dissent. I mean, the point of slaughtering Charlie Kirk on a college campus where he's debating people that disagree with him. And remember, Charlie comes in good faith and is debating on the merits of ideas. And somebody comes in there, some deranged leftist, obviously, and assassinates him. The whole point is to silence him. So our response needs to be civil and respectful, but not back down an inch. We cannot let left-wing violence silence conservatives, or we allow them to win. So that's something that we've got to keep in mind. But remember, this is going to be a wife who now is widowed. It's going to be two kids who grow up without a father. I mean, this is just despicable. And some of the responses you see from leftists who are celebrating his death are really, really disgusting, and show you that our country seems to be going on a pretty dark path, and we need to turn this around quickly.
And that was going to be my next thing. It was obviously I was going to ask if you've seen the reaction, but it's hard not to see the reaction. It was kind of like I remember saying as soon as seeing the whole thing go down that there was going to be celebration on the left, but I never expected it to be in the quantity of celebration that was going on. I mean, it is just post after post of celebration, and the likes. Like some of these posts got 200,000 likes on them, and they're ones that are celebrating, and it's again, today's September 11th. One of the things that you pull out of that is the following day was September 12th, when it seemed like in this country we were united as one, and it seemed like we were all together, man. Like the energy was, we are Americans first, and we need to get back to that. And it feels like this is a moment where either we're going to heal now as a country, or we're going to completely crumble, and it seems like we're going to escalate towards the point of no return.
It does feel like that. I hope that we can all agree, regardless of what side of the aisle we're on, that political violence is always wrong, regardless of who it's against. But there has been, I think, an uptick in not only violent rhetoric from the other side of the aisle, but also violent acts. I mean, we saw a healthcare CEO recently get murdered, assassinated in New York. You saw 2 Israeli embassy officials get murdered here in Washington, D.C. You saw a deranged leftist tried to murder President Trump while he was doing one of his huge rallies. And then, of course, they just assassinated Charlie Kirk. I mean, this is a serious problem with the left that they need to address, just if not more seriously than anybody else. But remember, they went after Charlie Kirk because he was effective. That's why he was a target. It's because he built up a political movement that we haven't seen in decades. You know, if you think of college campuses, for a long time, I think it's fair to say that the conservative side of the political debate wasn't really the cool side, so to speak. It was, we were in the minority on college campuses. We were the ones who were probably more studious, more thoughtful, but less, in many ways, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but less appealing to a college student. Charlie Kirk and Turning Point completely shifted that paradigm. He made it cool to be a conservative. He made it cool to go to Turning Point rallies and listen to conservative speakers and listen to Christian speakers. And he built this massive movement that kind of made conservatism the resistance in the face of a left that had really taken over all of our institutions, most of our civil society. And that's why he was so effective. That's why you have thousands and thousands and thousands of students who come out of colleges now, having gone through Turning Point, having been in leadership, having brought on conservative speakers to their campuses. I mean, if you look at even on the Hill right now, there are staffers across probably just about every single Republican office who went through Turning Point whenever they were in college, including my own office. I mean, the amount of influence that movement has created because of Charlie Kirk is extraordinary. I mean, it's a huge testament to how successful he was, and that's why they went after him.
Yeah, we will see the fruits of Charlie Kirk's labor for years to come in the political movement. There's no question about that. Like you said, the interns are loaded with the people that have gone through Turning Point. Also, too, I mean, Charlie Kirk himself had a very bright future in front of him. I mean, he's only 31 years old. This is a guy, many people said another 10, 15 years, this guy would easily be able to run for president or run for office because of how dynamic he was. And you're right. I don't think the left had an answer for Charlie Kirk. They didn't have anything comparable to Charlie Kirk. And I think instead of trying to beat Charlie Kirk, they eliminated Charlie Kirk. They took his voice out because they really didn't have an answer for him.
That's exactly right. I mean, remember that for a democratic republic to function, you have to be able to speak ideas openly. You have to be able to engage with people who disagree with you on the merits, not in terms of use of force or violence. And that's what Charlie was so good at. You know, he did things so well. He went into the lion's den routinely when he knew he was surrounded by people who viciously disagreed with him, and he debated them in good faith on the merits of ideas. And he was successful. He was an extraordinarily gifted speaker and debater, extraordinarily articulate and well-read. And he not only was able to win in the sort of realm of ideas, but he was able to build up a political movement to actually mobilize all the people whose minds he was changing on a daily basis to have a pretty palpable and powerful political force. He did everything right, everything that we should be aspiring to in the conservative movement.
Well said, Congressman. And, he just recently posted. It's so crazy to see him posting the morning of him being assassinated, too. But he had been posting recently in the days leading up to this about the Irania Zarutska, that brutal video that was released really the day before he was assassinated. It's almost like we're getting so immune to this because we're watching a girl, 23 years old, her throat sliced. And then we're seeing Charlie Kirk just totally, just annihilated on TV. And it's like, we're getting so immune to these images and stuff, and it's doing something to this country. It's like these are dark images that we're seeing of just violence that's unspeakable, and it's like back to back. We were just not getting over, just discussing the fact that young girl getting her throat slit. Charlie, obviously, it deeply affected him. He posted, "America will never be the same," and then he gets violently assassinated. So man, having those two back to back like that, it's really, really affecting the country deeply.
Oh yeah, you are. And something Charlie used to talk a lot about is whenever you can't debate ideas, the next step is, whenever you silence dissent, the next step is violence. That there's people lash out, and that's sort of what we're seeing here is, I think, a political left who's doing everything they can to stifle free speech, even using force and violence against their opponents. I mean, it really is dark, and you cannot have a republic that is composed of democratically elected officials in an environment where people cannot speak openly and debate ideas openly without violence. I mean, that is the constitutional core of our republic. It's something he embodied so well, but it's something we've got to continue fighting for, especially as the left is coming after us like this.
What is the temperature right there now, Congressman? Is how? I mean, I know you guys had to try to have like a moment of silence yesterday. What is the feeling there? What is the energy right now?
Yeah, we had a moment of silence on yesterday on the House floor, and I can tell you on the Republican side, we were shocked. I mean, we got the news of his passing while we were on the floor. We were in a vote series at the time. So there was a bit of shock, a bit of disbelief, but also anger and fury about this, that they would have, that the political left, or that there would be people on the other side of the aisle willing to assassinate conservative leaders. But let me tell you something that was particularly, I think, sickening yesterday, which is that after we had a moment of silence, my friend Congresswoman Lauren Boebert asked that we have an audible prayer on the House floor, which I think is entirely appropriate given the circumstances. And you know what the response was from the other side of the aisle? It was Democrats standing up and shouting no, that they were not willing to have a prayer on the House floor for a member of our movement who was just assassinated. I mean, it was beyond disgusting, but shows you where the country is at right now. I mean, really pray for God's mercy for our country, because that was a dark time and a dark response from the other side of the aisle.
So sad, Congressman. And I would imagine, just like I said, if we could bring back that September 12th type of energy, that's an energy where it's like, yes, let's all come together, because none of us want this. We all want, we all have loved ones. We're all fathers and sons. And just to see that happen to anybody, despite the fact that it's a political figure, it's just heartbreaking. And Charlie Kirk, like you say, the biggest name that we got in the political movement as far as on this media activist side. I mean, there's nobody bigger and nobody to compare him to on the other side. It's just devastating. So, there's a few other. Let me just before I get you out of here, just give me your take on where do we go from here? Where do we go from here, Congressman? I mean, what do you see happening here in the country? I mean, it's almost speechless, but I just want to get your take. Where do we move on? How do we move on?
Well, first we need justice for Charlie. We've got to figure out who it was who assassinated him. And I think we need to see swift justice here. We need, obviously, to see the shooter get the death penalty. I think that's just, it's righteous. And that is the first step we need to move forward. And this needs to be something that happens quickly. We don't need a 10-year trial with this lunatic on death row sitting on death row for years and years. We need swift justice here. But after that, we need to continue fighting as conservatives. We need to continue showing that we can win in ideas, and we're not going to be intimidated by left-wing violent lunatics like this guy. We are going to continue speaking out. We're going to win the debate on the merits, and we're going to keep our majority in the House. We're going to get a Republican elected president, and we're going to continue winning and turning our country around, just like continuing the movement that Charlie started. So we're going to put the pedal to the floor. We're not backing down a bit.
Yeah, well said. I love that attitude, Congressman. So many other things I wanted to hit on. It's just this thing has upset the apple cart completely. I know it has for you guys down there, but keep up the good work. I'd love to have you back on down the line. Thanks for joining me today on the Alec Lace Show.
Yep. Thanks for having me.